Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this August 2020 webinar. My name's Cherry Wolf. I'm a marketing specialist for Town News. From new integrations and functionality to design layouts and blocks, we're constantly working to improve our products. Today, Christine Masters, Product Director for BLOX CMS, will show off recent features and updates you should know about. The presentation will take about 30 minutes and a Q&A will follow. At any point, you can type a question in the chat box, but we'll wait to answer them at the end. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be shared as soon as it is available. Christine, what you got?
Thank you. Yeah, so today we're going to go through we've been doing a lot of stuff in the last several months. And so we're just going to review a lot of that functionality that we've put out in the last couple of months, just so that you can kind of there's a lot of things that you might have missed. We have messages and things that go out all the time. And this way we can do a nice review for you to make sure that you're aware of all of the new stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit about push notifications and using some fun emojis and push notifications, selling photos online and how you can use our new partner integration to sell your original photos and prints online and digital downloads. New design opportunities you can use to reinvigorate your site and change items to make sure that you're using the best technology and the freshest design. Some additional things we have with subscription, promo codes, ways to ramp up people from a promo code into a full subscription rate, and a whole bunch more stuff. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing we wanted to talk about is our BLOX Notifier system and a new feature that we've built in recently for emojis. Emojis sounds a little, crazy to put emojis in, a professional news organization tweets or push notifications. However, and you can kind of see from the example here, some of them can be very eye-catching and professional, and you don't have to always do a smiley face in your push notifications. You can do things like a basketball or little glittery special sale tags and things like that to add additional functionality and eye-catching graphics to your push notifications. The way that this works is it uses the built-in emoji keyboard in both, it's a part of the browser or it's part of Mac OS or Windows. And you just essentially bring up that keyboard, you enter one of the emojis, you can search in that little pop-up, you put in one of the emojis, it gets added into your push notification when it's in BLOX Notifier. So you can build this while you're actually writing the story. And then at the point where it gets pushed out, that emoji is included in there and it will show up on people's screens. There has been a lot of studies that showed that there's an increase in open rates when you use graphics and other types of emojis in your push notification. So that's a really fun little update that I think will be really useful for people. Just note that one of the powerful things with BLOX Notifier is that it also can work with Twitter and Facebook and web notifications and a bunch of other things. And as long as the end platform supports emojis, then this will work for that platform. So if you create, for example, if you can see this push notification here, this message here actually has a little special sale tag in front of it. If you sent this to push notifications and to Twitter, that emoji would show up in both places. So anywhere where emojis are supported, this will work with them. So it's a really great and fun functionality, something that you can experiment with. Look through the different emojis and see different types of things that you think could be included and try it out. And I think you'll see your open rates go up. We also wanted to talk about a new partnership that we have for the website it's called Photomoto is the name of the company. They're a very professional print in terms of when you actually send prints out to end users. It's the same company used by most of the drop shippers that are in the area. And they're very nice, professional, high quality professional prints. And what this does is it integrates with your site. So when you're turning photo sales on or off inside of BLOX, this will allow a buy now button to show up on the front end of your site, and you can make your own local photos available for sales to your end users. They also have the ability to do digital downloads or e-cards as well. So that's something that can be used to help kind of promote your photography and integrate photo sales throughout your site. I will say that we have some of our publishing partners will, go to some kind of an event. A lot of people did this with graduation, even if they didn't have a real big graduation, they just had students show up to accept a diploma. They would take pictures of each of the individual students, put it online, and they can make, dozens of sales of photos throughout that one photo gallery for that one event. Obviously, right now, there are fewer events going on than normal in terms of sports and other things, prom, things like that are a lot of times canceled right now. But as we see things start to pick up again here, this might be a great new revenue stream if you haven't thought about this already. So again, if this is something you're interested in, submit a ticket and we will get you started down that path. New search criteria. This is something that in the BLOX admin, you should be familiar with creating new blocks to showcase content on your site. And when you create a new block, you can set what we call a query rule, which tells the system what types of content to pull from the system and show in this individual block. We have a new rule that allows you to pull out any type of asset that has a certain type of child asset. So just as an example, you could create a story about, politics or about a certain sports team. And then in that particular story, you can ask a poll let's say you go through and talk about the sports team in the story. And at the very end, it says, do you, like this sports team or that sports team? With using a poll asset. What you can do with this particular feature is you can create a new block to showcase on your front page that says interactive content. And then you could show all stories that have a poll at the end of them. And then you can pull that out and showcase it on your front page. You can also do that with photo galleries. You can say, special reports, and then any story that has a photo gallery or that has a video, you can pull that out and show it in this spot. Another thing I might recommend is people will pull out, they might make like a block that showcases the latest photography, but they'll pull in the photo itself, the photo asset, as opposed to the article, and that loses kind of some context sometimes. This way you could actually pull in the article that has the gallery or the attached photo, and that way when they arrive on that page after clicking on it from the front page, they're actually reading the article that has that showcase photography attached to it. So there's a lot of really interesting things that you can do here. And this is just something that, again, it's a new query rule that's available in the block editor that you can check out today. And I'm sure you guys will have a bunch of new ideas for that as well. So we have another feature that came out a couple of weeks ago that gives you the ability to create a special link email that you send to an end user whenever they're having trouble logging into the site. So you can imagine your customer support team gets a call from a user where for some reason it doesn't work. Maybe they didn't get their paper today. Maybe they're unable to log in for some other reason, and you're trying to troubleshoot the issue with them, but they're having some difficulty. This way you can actually go into the admin, go into the user panel that shows all the different user accounts, find that user account, and then you can right-click to create an instant login link. This will send an email to that user where they can then click on a link in the email, and it will take them to the site already logged in. So they don't have to log in themselves. It'll take them to the site logged in. And then that way they can maybe read the article that they were really interested in or figure out whatever they were trying to do. And then they'll have access to go into their account, change their password, whatever they need to do to get themselves fixed, they can do that. But this is a way to solve the problem, get them logged in, allow them to read the article that they really needed to read that day, and kind of solve that problem. So it's a great customer support, customer service feature. And again, this is available today, and it's in the community user accounts area. You search for that user, and then you right-click to find the link. So we have some new design options that are available as well, and these are already released and available. We have a new header that allows you to, it's basically a dynamic header that changes based on the type of the type of interface that the user is looking at that time. It's very mobile friendly. It responds to the specific situation that the user is in at that moment, and it adjusts to give them the best content and support that they need at that particular time in their browsing experience. So just as an example, if you look at the home page, there's going to be a big logo, there's going to be some promotional opportunities at the top, but as you scroll down the page, that top header switches to a skinny header, and you can see that the logo actually changes, and then it starts to promote the other types of sections that they might want to jump to at that point. In an article, the article also has a skinny header, and it will show some navigation in it, but as they scroll down the page, it changes and it shows them the headline of the article as they scroll down. If they scroll to a certain point, it'll actually show sharing buttons in that top panel. So it responds to the specific need of the user at that point in time, and it's just very mobile friendly and very user friendly, and it's something that you can check out if you want to. And again, this is available in the BLOX page customization options for the header and for the navigation. And if you have any questions about that, you can submit a ticket and we can help you set that up. Another design change that we've made recently is we've changed the max width option that you can choose to have on your site. We're constantly looking at statistics and other types of information that we're getting from our customer base. We track statistics across all of our sites all together, and we have billions of page views every month to track that data. And one of the things that we've noticed is that obviously there's an increase in mobile page views. There's a lot of people looking at their sites on mobile. But for those that are not mobile, that screen size is actually getting bigger on a lot of those desktop sizes. So this it doesn't change by default, but if you go into your page customizations, you can kind of see it here. There's a new max page width option, and you can choose between 1200 pixels, which is the current default, or 1396 pixels, which is the new capability that we have. This will basically allow you to make your center of your site bigger. You can have additional ad opportunities possibly on the side. You can have maybe content used across additional columns that you might want to add an additional column of content. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this additional pixels. I will say that just remember, for those of you who have background ads where you're depending on the site being thin enough and the monitor being big enough that you have advertising down the sides, make sure that this continues to work with the advertising that you have, because this will actually give you less space for wallpaper and background advertising than before. So if that's something that you're doing now, you might want to just test it out and make sure that this works with that still. So another fun thing that we've done recently, and this is something that you see a lot in broadcast sites, or just broadcast in general, where you have a very vertical photo or a vertical video, and then in order to show it on the TV, they blur kind of the background so that it looks like a more cohesive image. So we've actually looked at, this is something that you can kind of do with CSS that we're able to do now, and we're offering this as an option for photos on the website. So what this is when there's a letterbox opportunity, and then this is kind of an example of that, where you have a vertical photo, but it's in a horizontal space. So what we do is called letterboxing, where we show, either some dark stuff onto the side here, or we show a blurred background. And now you have the ability to choose, if you go to page customizations, you can choose the letterbox styles that are available on that particular page or that section. And you can obviously do this for your whole site at once as well. But you now have the ability to choose between dark gray, which is the default right now, white, which will just look like the vertical image just sitting on a blank background, so there's no letterboxing at all, but it's still showing the vertical image. Or you can use this blurred image, where it will take the front image here and then blur it in the background to give you more of a cohesive look for the horizontal image as it's displayed there. This is supported on our search pages, on our article pages, and on several of our different types of blocks. Not necessarily every single block, depending on the style of that block, but it's available in a lot of different types of blocks and article pages. So again, it's just a fun thing that you're able to go in there and change that, and then you can experiment with the different styles and see if that helps out your photo presentations. So we have another grid that's available. We do a couple of these pretty much every year. This is something that we really wanted a new grid that was a great way to present the news and to make sure that the top news on desktop was also the top news on the web and mobile display. So let me show you kind of an example of what I'm talking about. Usually when you have a desktop image like this, the way that when you go to mobile is that everything on the left is at the top and everything that's on the right side slides below it and slides below it. And that's how they make the mobile presentation, is that everything just pushes down to the bottom. What this particular grid does is it recognizes that this centerpiece story here, this big centerpiece, is actually the most important thing. This isn't necessarily the most important thing. So what this particular grid does is that as it slides into a mobile layout, this centerpiece actually pushes to the top for the mobile layout instead of the stuff on the side. So first it goes centerpiece, then it goes the left-hand side, and then it goes the right-hand side. So it's just a really nice way to make sure that that center important news is also important and on the center in the mobile display. It's also just a really nice way to have local and photography-driven centerpiece artwork to display in this nice center location here. But then you can have updated and national news show on the side. And it gives you the opportunity to both showcase your photography and artwork, but also have top stories flowing in automatically as needed. So it's a great new centerpiece layout. It is available as the wireframes on page customization options. One of the things that you could do is go to a test section on your existing site, switch that test section to the centerpiece grid, and then you can play around with it and see what you think. So you don't have to necessarily switch everything over instantaneously. You can go to a section and experiment with a little bit and see what you think. So this is a new block that is available called Card Promo Boxes. It is a nice little way to create just promo opportunities and showcase opportunities on your site. This works really well towards the top of your website, where maybe above your masthead or maybe right below your masthead, you can showcase a couple of different maybe subscription opportunities, advertising opportunities, special news stories, special sections, any kind of fun thing that you want to showcase. And it's kind of similar to print skyboxes or other types of promos that you might see in broadcasts, just little small opportunities to promote content to customers. It's also really nice on mobile when it shrinks down to the mobile size. Instead of having these boxes stack on top of each other, it creates a side-to-side slider. So even when you're on mobile, it still has kind of a skybox promo feel to it. The way that I would recommend using these is by default, you can have maybe a new section that is created or a flag that you can flag different items and put them into the skyboxes. You can use link assets. So if you had, let's say, a special subscription you wanted to promote, you could add a photo, add a headline, a link to your subscription page, and then it just says, like we have the example here, learn more about News Plus membership. That would then, you have a photo. When you click on that, it goes to your subscription sign-up page, and that's a way that you can actually create new promo opportunities by using this box. So in addition to just having a standard query rule to pull in blocks, you can use our pinned content functionality to showcase specific content that you want pulled into that spot. So let's say, for example, that these first two were going to be pinned here, so they stayed there for a while, but these next two were actually updated as new stories flowed into the site. So these were more dynamic, and these were hard-coded and pinned to this spot. And that way you can kind of control how those things flow in. So again, it's a really fun new block to create more promotional opportunities and showcase your content. All right, so this is an interesting one. This is something that we've been asked about for a long time, and we finally have support for this. With our BLOX Subscription Pro service, we now have the capability to create special promotional rates and promo codes that you can offer to your users. And essentially, it allows them to either go directly to that promo code. So let's say at a specific event or in a specific ad, we wanted to promote a 99-cent offer, you can have them go directly to a link that goes to that 99-cent offer and allow them to sign up. It will stay 99 cents for 3 months, and then it automatically ramps up to full price. Additionally, we have a little screen where here's your normal subscription presentation for the site. If you have a promo code, it allows you to enter that promo code here. You find the offers, and then it will say 99 cents for 3 months, and then they can choose that. So there might be multiple things that are available to them based on the types of codes that they have. So again, you can have them go automatically directly to that promo code, or you can tell them when you're signing up, enter this promo code, and those offers will be available to you. Again, this is available with our BLOX Subscription Pro package. If you have questions or you want to try to sign up for this, feel free to submit a ticket and we can try to help you get that set up. So OneTrust privacy integration. We had a webinar about this recently, so I would, and we have a nice little promo here for the webinar. I would recommend to go look at that webinar and check it out if you want more information about this. We actually had a privacy expert on that webinar talking about how news organizations around the country need to think about privacy laws that are coming up around the country and essentially the types of privacy opportunities and types of integrations that we can have available now. So there are, if you might have heard of GDPR, which happened in Europe, we also have CCPA in California. We have some additional privacy laws that are going into effect in Nevada and other states. And essentially what the different laws say is that you have to ask for permission before sharing this data with other providers and ad providers. GDPR asks that you ask upfront before you actually share data with other providers, but most places in the United States are basically saying you don't have to ask upfront, but if a user expresses that they don't want their information to be shared, you need to be able to provide them with that option. So this, we actually partnered with a company called OneTrust to provide this functionality so that it can be integrated onto the site and will allow you to ask users what type of privacy standard they want to use on your site, if they want to share their data in order to get more relevant ads, or if they want to not share their data and then have a less personalized experience. You can now ask them that question, and then depending on the type of answer they provide that question, you can customize the site to that experience. And it will work with other types of integrations such as Facebook, such as Google Ad Manager, all these different types of data providers that are on the site. These are integrated as part of this. And it also will notify other advertising providers on the site that this user has either opted in or opted out of that privacy integration. So this is something to look at. And again, feel free to look at that webinar. And there was a great webinar talking about all the different types of privacy and how what you really need to do in order to be legal. And we recommend that you definitely talk to your lawyers and see where you need to be at in terms of all these privacy laws. But this is a great way to address that. And it's a new integration that we now have available that will work across the site. So check that out. And again, talk to your own attorneys as to what you need to be doing on your specific site and in your situation.
And Christine, we put the chat, in the chat, I put the link to the webinar so people can go to it from there.
Great, thank you. So another thing that we have, this is something that came out just in the last 2 weeks, I think. So this is relatively new. You probably have noticed it already. Basically, we have what's called an admin edit bar, and you can kind of see it up here. And this will show up if you have permission. So if you're logged in and you have permission to edit that particular article, this will allow you to click on the edit button here and go directly into BLOX CMS and with that article open. So I like to imagine, you're the news editor, you're a news producer who is putting together the site late at night. You're looking through some pages to make sure that everything went online, and you suddenly see that you spelled this word wrong. Oh my gosh. So you have to go into BLOX. You have to maybe search for it. There might be a couple different articles there. It might take you some time, and it's not necessarily the best experience. This way you can actually click on edit, and it immediately drops you into BLOX. It immediately opens that specific asset, whether it's an article, a photo, etc. It opens that asset. You can make the change, you can click save, and you're done. So it's a really nice new feature. It will only show up if you have permission to edit that specific article. So if you're either not logged in, or you don't have admin access, or you're not allowed to edit that specific section, it won't show up for you. So this is now available, and you probably have seen it already. So let us know what you think. And we've already heard some good feedback from this is saving people time. So we appreciate that. And hopefully this will work well for you. So here's a new block that is available. This is called the image grid block. And this is something that just a great way to showcase an easy grid of logos or any kind of image. Logos for businesses and things like that works really well, but we also have the ability to show any kind of like magazine color, things like that. These are specifically built to just show the preview image, just simply the logo. It doesn't show summaries, or it doesn't show headlines. We have a lot of other blocks that do that. But this allows you to create a grid of, you can choose to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 different columns across. And then you can choose to have a border around those particular logos. And you can have these click through to the asset URL, or you can have them not clickable, either way. I found when I've been using these on several sites recently, you can kind of either have an image as the logo, or you can use a link block, and you can, or a link asset, and then you can upload the logo as the preview image, and then have the link URL be the business's website, and then you can create a grid of sponsors for a specific page, or maybe different businesses who are participating in some kind of a job fair or something like that. Or you can, again, use these for magazine covers and link through to the individual covers or special sections for different types of special programs or special articles that you're doing right now. So again, it's just a really nice, attractive way to put together and showcase images. And you have a lot of opportunities to create different types of grids and stacks of layouts for this. So it's a nice new block that you can check out. I just wanted to mention this as well. This is a new thing that we're doing. We did virtual graduations for those graduations that were canceled because of COVID. We had a lot of great response for the virtual graduation section that we put together. A lot of people participated in that, and they had great response from their communities. And several people asked us about the same type of thing for community fairs and 4-H competitions that were happening in communities right now. So we used the same kind of template and put together the ability to do this for fairs. And we've seen a lot of good response with that. What a lot of people are doing right now, the big local community fairs and the state fairs have been canceled in a lot of places. And so right now, 4-H organizations and the fair organization in those areas are kind of scrambling to try to figure out how to put something together to highlight and honor the people in the community that have worked on those particular projects that are usually showcased at the community fair. These might be agricultural projects or livestock, animals and pets, or they could be something like arts and crafts, citizenship, things like that. They might have a royalty king and queen competition at the same time. So there's a lot of these different really nice community sharing opportunities that happen as part of that fair that are being canceled right now because of the COVID pandemic. So this actually gives you the opportunity to either work with the fair organization in your community or work with the 4-H organization in your community and either showcase the work that they might still be doing if they are doing something. We have a lot of people that have a lot of places that have canceled the fair itself, but are still doing some kind of a 4-H competition. So that's something that you might be able to partner with them to showcase those entries on your site. Or it can be just kind of a tribute to the local fair. And what you can do is offer basically people the type of project that they were working on to showcase at the fair that year that they can't showcase now. They actually have the opportunity to submit that through your site. So let's say it's a prized rabbit that they've been, training and brushing and all that stuff throughout the year, and they were going to showcase their prized rabbit at the fair. Now they can take a picture of the rabbit, multiple pictures of the rabbit, submit a profile of maybe the student and their rabbit, the child and their rabbit, and then showcase that on the site along with other people who may have competed in that same category, but they don't have the opportunity now. So it's just a really great way to, as a kind of a tribute to community fairs and a tribute to those 4-H organizations, and a way to showcase the people who would have submitted those projects but don't now have the opportunity, or maybe have a different opportunity with a 4-H organization that they might be working with right now. So it's just a really great way to showcase the work that the community has done. And it is also a great way, a lot of businesses in the area really want to promote basically their business name and their business logo as part of this great community event. So this is another great way to have sponsorships and different tiers of sponsors that can be showcased on the site. And it's a great way for you to work in collaboration with the fair organization or the 4-H organization and local businesses to produce a nice summer commemorative site for county fairs and for 4-H organizations. So again, if you have any questions about that, please talk to your sales representative and they can show us. We've got a couple of example sites that we're working on right now. We can showcase you our examples and show what people have done so far, and maybe it will spark some ideas for you as well. So that being said, if you can take a moment now before we go into our questions, and just in the chat box, let us know which of these different things that you're interested in and that you're most excited about, and let us know if there's anything that that you're going to implement on your site right away, or if there's any of those things, which of those things were the funnest and that you're most excited about.
Well, we did have someone say, hurrah for image grid block.
Oh, great.
Okay, image grid block right away, sponsored events. Definitely love the Centerpiece layout. Second one for a Centerpiece layout. Card promo boxes and image grid boxes. Yes, the different designs. Ooh, people are excited. Card promo and image grid. Lots of people are excited about the image grid. Already using the automatic article login links. And
that's great. Yeah, we have a couple people who have actually written into us and said that they were really excited, that's saving them time. So I think that's great.
Someone said site width. Had already been looking for that. Changed it as soon as you said it.
Oh, great.
We have a local community award that is going virtual this year. I'd love to see us have a landing page for the event and image grids with sponsors. I just love the idea. So this is great. Thank you, everyone, for giving us your feedback. It's really cool to see that you're excited about everything. Are you ready for questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. We have quite a few of them. Photo sales. How can we get reports on photo sales? What photos were sold, products ordered, etc.? We're on Photomoto, but we've never seen any.
So one of the things I would do is this isn't done through BLOX. It is just a partnership with Photomoto. So two things. One is they actually have a reporting system inside of their admin. So, I can't tell you off the top of my head what buttons to click on when you're inside of their admin to get to the reporting interface, but there is some reports available there for orders and for, depending on your situation, for affiliate sharing, things like that. If you can't find that, I would recommend talking to their support team directly. You can email support@photomoto.com, and they have a great support team who will reach out to you and help you get those reports.
Is there a charge to implement Photomoto, or is it a rev share model?
So they actually have multiple different tiers of pricing options. So they have a revenue share model, which is a certain, and I can't tell you, I think it's 22%, but don't quote me on that, of a revenue share opportunity with no monthly fees. Or they have one that is their pro level, which is a $25 a month monthly fee, but it has a 10% revenue share only. So there's a couple of different options that you have there. And obviously you can kind of do the math on that and determine if you are doing more than a couple $100 in photo sales per month, then doing the pro level will actually make you more money. But if you're doing a small amount of photo sales per month, maybe $100, $150, you're only getting 1 or 2 sales per month, then the free option that has a higher revenue share would be a better option. So you can kind of do the math and see which one works best for you. But I will say that if you have more than one site, having the pro level allows you just to have one account for all of your sites for that $25, and then you can actually create unlimited additional stores. And in their jargon, a store is a new site. So you can, if you have multiple sites to work on, you can get that pro. So it's only $25 a month, and then you can have unlimited sites related to that. So depending on your situation, there's a couple of different opportunities and different pricing tiers you can look at there.
Okay, that answered the question about the percentage that they get. So it depends on what level you pick.
Exactly.
Regarding the button, can you print full pages of the paper? Regarding the photo button.
That is something that we need to implement that again in terms of the support for Photomoto inside of eEdition. But we do think that we can do that now. So that's something that's coming up on our roadmap for photo support. In the past, we've had issues where because of cropping or other things, we couldn't offer a full page print option. So we were not able to offer that, but we are experimenting with that now. So that's something that's on our roadmap for integration with Photomoto.
What about the My Capture we are currently using? Does this replace it?
You can still use My Capture. It is just another choice that you can use inside of the system. We have the way that we kind of built the photo sales opportunities in BLOX is that we have photo sales logic that's built into the system. So you can set up different types of, you can turn off photo sales by default. You can do kind of a job to select the photos that you want to turn on based on making sure that they're only local photos, making sure that there's certain keywords and stuff attached to them. Turn on the photo sales opportunity inside of BLOX. And then what you use on the front end is kind of up to you. So right now we support My Capture and we support Photomoto. And there might be others in the future in theory as well.
Does photo sales serve Canada?
I believe so. That's a good question. I would send an email to support@photomoto.com and ask that question. I would assume so, but that's a good idea to reach out and make sure there's no caveats supported there as well.
As a broadcast television station, are there any plans to make video downloads available for sale, like the photo downloads?
That is a good question. We've talked to a couple of different vendors about that. And it's a little bit more difficult to do in terms of, do you put it on we talked to some places that put it on a CD, for example, and they can send you the CD, or is it something that you just allow them to download the individual video directly to their site? But that is something, if you want to submit a feature request for that, and we can kind of talk through with you a little bit more on how specifically you want that to work, that's something that we could talk about. It's not something that we're actively working on right now because of, like I said, just some of the logistics with printing a CD and things like that. But that's something that we could definitely look at.
Okay. Switching gears to the instant login. Does the instant login work if the customer doesn't have an active subscription?
I believe so. I would want to, let me double check on that. If you can submit a ticket and ask that, just to make sure that I have all the kind of the details right about that. But basically, my understanding is it allows you to log in and then you can view the site as if you have a subscription. In case there's any kind of problems or in case you're trying to, if their newspaper wasn't delivered that day or something like that, if you want them to be able to access the site. But if you could please submit a ticket and ask about that just to make sure in terms of what specifically you're asking, they can help you with that.
This might be the same. What if you have a paywall and you need to send someone an instant login? Does it bypass the paywall?
Yes, it definitely does, but I'm not sure in terms of the other, if they don't have subscriptions specifically, I'm not sure if that works the same way. But if definitely if there's a paywall, it gets them through the paywall if they have access.
Okay. Does it work for delimited verification or CSV service types, or is it only for BLOX subscription?
It will work for CSVs, but it won't work for totally third-party subscriptions.
Do users need?
So as long as you're using our login, it will work.
Do users need to change their password after logging in with the instant link?
They're not forced to do that, but it's a good idea. That way that they can get into it next time.
Oh, back to photo sales. How do you spell Photomoto?
Photomoto.
All right. For the new centerpiece layout, does that only work with the new wider layout option?
It doesn't, but it is a good idea to think about using those two together, because when you have that, having more space for that centerpiece so that it can be really dominant compared to the two side columns is a really good idea, but it doesn't have to. It will work with the smaller size. It's just smaller, obviously.
One problem with mobile is that the ads in the right-hand rail are pushed way down the page. Is there a way to get them higher when you're scrolling on mobile?
Yes, definitely. We would highly recommend, we actually have the capability of doing web or desktop ads versus mobile ads. And you can actually place specific ad spots that just show up when you're in a mobile grid. So what I would recommend is look at your site in desktop, put your ads where you need to, go into mobile, and then make sure, you can see where those ads fall in mobile. You can turn off the desktop ads if you need to. You can add in your mobile ads as you need to so that you have really good presentation on the mobile side. So again, you can place specific ads that only show up in mobile and make sure that you get them at the right places when you're in the mobile layout. And feel free to, if you need kind of some help doing that, we can help you with that. But you definitely, and again, I'll take this opportunity very quickly to just mention, a lot of our sites now have more than 50%, sometimes even 70% mobile traffic. We actually were looking at some of the numbers for our virtual graduation sites. They were getting 75 to 80% mobile traffic on those virtual graduation sites. This is something that you need to make sure that you're looking at your site in the mobile platform, and that you have your integrated advertising opportunities, and that you're promotional, and that it looks nice when you're in mobile, because that's how most of your users are looking at it. So I would definitely recommend to look at your site on your phone, make sure that you're checking out how the stories look, checking out how the photos look, and checking out how your ad experience is when you're on the mobile platform, for sure. Great question.
All right. Does the admin edit option work with Total CMS?
So it doesn't. It will open up the BLOX side of that. If you want to submit a ticket to ask about that, I know that we were talking about some additional opportunities to be able to have it open in the Total CMS environment in special situations. So that's something that we have been kind of talking about as a future additional feature. So if you can submit a ticket for that, we can kind of talk about that a little bit more and see what your use case is, and if this what we were thinking of already might work for that. But that's something that we were kind of talking about, but it doesn't do that today.
All right. Users non-newsroom who submit content now are seeing the permissions bar, but it's taking them to a dead link. They now have no way to update their content. Is there a way to turn that off? Could this be a site setting?
So if you're talking about, we do have an alternate feature that we've actually had for, it's probably been about 10 years, I think, that users who upload their own content through the user dashboard, that they will actually be able to click to edit their own content that they've submitted to the site. And then basically when you click on it, it goes into the user dashboard and allows them to edit their article. If for some reason you've turned off user contribution or you've turned off the user dashboard, then theoretically you might have kind of what you're describing. So I would submit a ticket, and we can see that there are a couple of different settings for allowing people to submit content, allowing people to go to the user dashboard and things like that. So we can see if some combination of those settings will work for you, or if we need to hide that specific edit bar for those users because maybe it doesn't work with your particular login. If you're using a different kind of login system, for example, that might not work with that login system. So if you want to submit a ticket, and then we can look at maybe what combination of things to get that to work, or we can just hide it with CSS as well.
Just tried the instant edit on my iPhone. It took me to BLOX login on CMS and required me to again enter my email address and password. Is there a way to get around this?
So make sure I understood that correctly. Using the edit feature, they clicked on the edit feature or the instant login feature?
The instant edit, the edit.
Okay, yeah, so if you're not logged in to the BLOX site, it will ask you to log in again. Once you're logged in the first time, it should keep you logged in, however.
So then the follow-up question for that, do you have to be logged into BLOX?
Yes, you do have to be logged into BLOX, or it will ask you to log in once you get there.
Okay. How often do you have these information update sessions? Well, we have a monthly customer webinar, and those are on our website. So if you miss any, I think, Christine, we try to do your updates once or twice a year.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it might be as often as quarterly, but at least twice a year.
I got called away. Will this be recorded? Yes, it will be, and it'll be available on our website. But because you're signed up, we'll also email it out to everyone. And so you should get it that way as soon as it's available. Let's see. You should have these updates quarterly. They are great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for saying that.
How well?
Yeah, we know that, just really quickly, and I used to be a director at a newspaper company for their website, and you are busy every day. You've got explosions and politics and all kinds of stuff going on all the time. And we're sending you emails every single week of all this stuff that's happening. And we know that it's a lot to take in. And so we know that you're missing a lot of these different updates that we do. So we definitely want to make sure that there's a couple of different ways that you have to experience the different updates that we get. And I think that this is one of those ways, in addition to our, I think, Sherry, you're going to talk about it in a second, but in addition to our newsletters and things like that we do, we want to also make sure that we have these nice review sessions as well, just to make sure that, that you're experiencing all of this and you see all the new stuff we have, because we got a lot of stuff going on.
And the slide deck that we use for this is saved with the presentation recording, so you can download that and share it within your organization. We'll link to resources as well. So, how well does promo code and rates integrate with Newsware or other outside subscription vendors?
So if you're using our system for the actual tracking, the user accounts and the tracking, it will work. But for if you're completely using a third party and we're not handling the authentication and the authorization on our side, then it won't work. But if you're using the BLOX Subscription Pro platform with one of our approved integrations, depending on the situation, it would work with that. So it depends on, we obviously have to have control over the rates, we have to have control over the login and all of that stuff on the BLOX side. So it may not work in every situation. But feel free to, submit a ticket and, let us know the specific setup that you have, and then we can look at that and see what you're able to do with those promo codes. Because it is very neat. And, and again, just to say, this is a great opportunity you can do, for example, a banner ad promotion where it's 99 cents for 3 months, and, then it gets people to sign up. You can do a specific promo code just for your local schools. So maybe it's something that you want to help out with local schools who are, maybe they're not even in session or they're doing virtual sessions right now. You can kind of do an NIE type platform and say, hey, we're going to give everyone 6 months of the login access for free, and here's a promo code you can use. Or maybe it's just a temporary 50% off of the subscription rate due to COVID. So there's so many different things that you can do with that you can just get people out there and get them into the system and get them started, which is very helpful.
All right.
And you can have multiple different promotions going on at the same time. So you might have a 99 cents for your general crowd on the internet, but you might have another one for local businesses. You might want to have another one for local schools. So you could have a lot of different promo codes going on at the same time.
Great. How do we change the vertical photo to letterbox globally on the site, and where do we set that?
So that option is in your page customizations, and I believe it's under the general options in your page customizations. If you want to do it globally, you just kind of go to your front page and then go to the page customizations on your front page, and then switch the letterbox styles to like the blurred background. Now, that being said, that will work anywhere where letterboxing is already supported. So that will happen on your search results pages, that will happen on your article pages, that will happen on specific blocks. But if you have the setting on specific blocks to do a specific aspect ratio, and you're saying that I want to have a 2:3 aspect ratio or a square aspect ratio, then in most cases, it's going to try to crop the photo to that aspect ratio. So depending on the block and depending on the situation, you might have to switch that to be either like the original image. You can play around with the different aspect ratios and see when you start getting that letterboxing. But depending on the situation and the block, it may or may not do letterboxing in that specific presentation. So in general, though, if you want to switch it on your article pages and on the search pages and on any of those types of pages, if you go to the page customizations and then general, and then you'll see letterbox styles in there.
Okay. If you use admin access to make a fix, will it be wiped out if someone goes into total afterward to make a change?
So let me try to see. If you're making a change, if you make a change on the site, you're making it on I think what people call it is the blue blocks or the online blocks version of the site. If somebody changes something in Total CMS and they push it back out to the website, then yes, their changes will override what changes you just made. It kind of depends on what settings you have and how that particular, that particular push is set up. Sometimes it will only update the content versus any other things, the metadata that you have for that particular article. But in general, yes, if they're pushing stuff out from Total CMS, it might override. So that's something that you might want to ask about in your specific scenario. If you have, IT people on your staff, you can ask them how that would work. Or if you want to just put a ticket, we can try to help with that as well.
All right. That looks like all the questions we have. Do you want to go to the next slide? There are lots of ways to stay connected with us. You can find documentation at help.townnews.com. You can call our support line at 800-293-9576 or visit support.townnews.com. You can share ideas at our partner community, community.townnews.com. This is a great way to talk about how you're using things or to ask how everyone else is. You can check our status at townnews.status.io, see if we're having any issues. And you can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. And there are lots of ways to sign up for newsletters. You all signed up for the webinar today, so you will be added to the webinar announcements list. You will get reminders of upcoming webinars and the recording from today. Thank you, Christine. That was a lot of information, but really good to see what's going on.
And just as a quick ending note, just to double up on what you just said about documentation, for a majority of the things that we talked about today, we have documentation and help docs on our help site. So, for example, for photos support and photo sales, if you wanted to find out more about that, you could just go to help.townnews.com, type in Photomoto, Photomoto, and it will have kind of the onboarding documentation, discussion of the different pricing levels, all that stuff is available there. So definitely check out our help documentation.
Oh, and one other thing, a lot of what we shared today, we have sent out in the software release notes email. So if you are not signed up for that, you can sign up on our website. That goes out pretty much weekly, and we try to highlight things like we talked about today. And that's all I have. Christina, anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we will see you next time.